Welcome to Running with Scissors, Stitching with Jane and Julie. I'm Julie, and I'll be your instructor today.
And I'm Jane, and I will be the student today.
This is our first delightful detail, ruched and beaded edge. Now, I didn't invent ruching, but I thought I would share my technique of how to create a fun, easy edging, turning a simplistic design into a treasure. I thought I would start by showing how to ruche, but then I thought, what are they going to ruche on? So the instructor part of me kicked in. So humor me a bit as I walk you through this step-by-step process. Hopefully you will pick up a few bits of knowledge along the way. Jane, this is killing me not to have this completely scripted, because I don't want to forget a single delightful detail or repeat myself or, heaven forbid, lose my train of thought like I did in the last episode. So with that being said, let's get started.
Let's get started. Gentlemen, start your engines.
We wanted to show up close what we showed. See, now this is a whole new adjustment. In episode 4, some finishes I did for Jane that have a ruched edge. This has a beaded edge, and it's a single covered button form. And this has a beaded edge, and that is a double-sided, two forms put together. So we had to use a little larger bead. This is a ruched edge with silk ribbon that we'll talk about, the difference between silk ribbon and satin ribbon. Here is a silk ribbon ruched edge with a seed bead and sequins pin adornment. This one I did years ago, my favorite. This actually is a vintage ashtray. And I did a hardanger design on the top, and I mounted it on a metal form, and I put the pearls around the edge and then adhered it. So you can take the simplest of designs and really make some unique treasures out of them.
Yeah, speaking of treasures, before we get too far away from this one. Oh, look how convenient.
Let's prepare ourselves.
I might need a snack for today.
Well, I might do that as well. So we'll keep them over by you. Otherwise, you'll hear me crunching and munching.
Yeah, I apologize in advance for any crunching noise, but I can't promise I won't be snacking.
Well, and just to let you all know, as much as we're grateful for not having to worry about hair and makeup and double chins, my goodness, a hangnail looks like a fallen branch in a forest of fingers. So I apologize for that in advance. So I do have a little guideline that I want to map out for you here. So you want to ruche something, but you don't know how to get it to the point where you're ready to edge it. So I just wanted to walk you through fairly quickly, and Jane has a kit as well. But I wanted to walk you through, how do you draw a circle? I know, Jane, I can't do one freehand.
I can't either.
So I use a number of items. A soup can, a pineapple can is larger, a tuna fish can. I have lids from M&M jars, baby food jar, a coffee cup, a cereal bowl. And I just trace them, and what I've done, let me back up a minute. What I've done is I got a placemat from the dollar store, and I traced all the different sizes on, and I cut them out. So they're heavy plastic. They really are nice to draw around. I punched a hole in them and put them on a ring. So as much as I have all the lids at home, I made this for you, Jane.
Oh,
so you can create.
I can start running circles around people because I have the circles.
Now you have
I
circles.
Love it. Thank you.
So what I have here is just a cardboard disc, and this is what we're going to use as our smaller form throughout this relatively quick process. When you're going to cover it, you will want to make sure your fabric and linen is cut larger than the actual mounted size.
And what's a good guideline? So that you have enough, but you don't have that bulk when you try to...
Right. I like a 1/2 inch for the cotton calico fabric backing. I'll talk in a minute about working with linen that you might want a little bit bigger margin to the selvage. So I simply will take a pencil and just trace a circle around. I do not use a marker because the Sharpie marker, I know you're fond of Jane,
I love Sharpies.
will seep through the fabric, which is fine because it's on the cut selvage. But when you go to cut it out, look what it does to your scissor. It leaves like Sharpie. Okay, I was going to say poop.
I was going to say too, Sharpie poop.
And that's fine for a generic scissor, but you don't want that with your fabric shears.
No.
So I use a pencil. Now you want to cut this out, and that'll give you your shape. Then you'll want to use a batting. I went and purchased a twin size warm and natural quilt batting. It's 100% cotton. And you'll see how one side has little speckles, the natural cotton flecks, and the other side is, well, with the exception of that one, is relatively clean. And when you're putting your linen over it, like, because I use this also for framing, these will show through your linen. And you'll go, oh, what's that? Well, make sure you have this side up that you're putting your fabric on. So this won't trace with a pencil very easily. And you certainly don't want to use a marker at this point because this doesn't dry. A marker doesn't dry on batting.
No, and I would imagine it would bleed pretty badly.
Yep. So what I do is I just simply take my scissor and I cut around it as I'm holding it. So that's just what you do. So now I'm not going to cut out the batting. I'm going to try to be relatively quick here.
You want my piece of batting?
Oh, sure. I'll take Jane's batting. Thank you for sharing. If you'd like, you could put a little piece of double stick tape on here and then hold it in place. That's really helpful if this were metal. See, I use a lot of metal forms, and back in the day they had these finishing forms which are no longer available, but if you happen to see them in your local needlework store, snap them up because they are really nice. You also can use the Dritz buttons. And I always pop this out so I can use 2 of them and not have to have that fight.
Oh, what a great idea.
Yeah. And they also have the little teeth where you can really push your design in once it's centered. And
you know, another option instead of the double stick tape is, I know some cross stitchers will use, I think they're on the Fat Quarter Shop. Lori Holt has these little finishing dots that come in different sizes. And so that would be a good thing to just tack it down too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Or scrapbookers have those little tacky dots. Oh, well, that's a good thing to have because actually double stick tape in the roll was kind of hard to find.
Yeah, and it's a little unwieldy when you get it.
Yes. And this, you can get these, I believe I got them at Hobby Lobby. It's just a wood round. They come in a couple of different sizes, and they're like in a pack of 4 or 8. Okay. Or you can simply save the backs of your cardboard notebooks. You know, when you buy a set of sheets, you've got that heavy cardboard that makes it nice and stiff. I save all of that because you never know.
If you do your own matting and framing, you've got some leftover white or cream-colored mat board.
Or any color, really, because it's not going to show. Because we're covering it.
Because we have the batting on it. Oh.
So, we can talk threads a little bit. I do not use floss because floss frays. So, I use basic
Heavy duty
thread. And then, of course, my favorite for everything, I call it basting thread, but it is the Coates & Clark, and it's button and craft thread. And I buy it in white, ecru, and gray. And I use it in Hardinger for basting, but it's nice and sturdy for this as well. You can use on sometimes the linen stitching, you might want to use Pearl Cotton number 12, because this is a little sturdier, and it actually grabs a little bit better in the weave of the linen.
Yeah, it's not as smoothly coated as your thread.
So I like to use a quilter's knot. That was magic to me when someone showed me. What you do is you've got your thread end and your needle, and you're going to put your thread on your needle and hold it, and you're just going to wrap this. I go 5 times, pinch it, and then just slide your needle out, and it makes a perfect knot. I think it's a little bulkier knot than just a regular slip knot that you use.
So it'll hold up to whatever kind of tugging you need to do without coming through the fabric.
So this is a first. Everything with floss tube is a first for us. You'll want to stitch in about 1/4 of an inch in. Now, I don't trust that knot, even though it's a little sturdier, so I just put a little back stitch. And I just kind of feed on a running stitch.
Almost like you're making a ruffle.
Yep. And I just work my way around with my shaky hand. Usually I have a pillow that I steady my arms on, but that's not the way it will be today.
I did hear once that M&Ms have medicinal qualities.
I might have to
try that.
might have to indulge. So to speed it all up, you're going to work all the way around, and by the magic of my assistant here, you can be my Vanna White.
Can we talk about this green pencil?
Sure. Okay. Like I needed a pencil and I couldn't find a pencil. Property of Catherine. This we bought for her when she was in 3rd grade. Oh. Catherine now, the eraser is like petrified. You can't even erase it. Catherine now is a very young, energetic 38-year-old. So that pencil.
And were people stealing her pencils?
That was a big thing in elementary school.
Was it really?
You know, you would send her to school. Well, this was back in, the 80s. You would send her to school with her 6 pencils that were required for the startup of school. And by the 2nd week, she's like, I need pencils. And I'm like, are you eating them? Okay. So, yes, that is funny, and she gets a hoot out of it when she sees it at home as well. Batting, mounting form, edged, basted piece.
It's like magic.
Yep, it goes really swell. You pull it. I like to use my thumb just to secure it, and then I just do a slip knot through the loop. I go through it twice, and then you just draw it down. So now look at that.
And so far, everything that even Jane could do.
Well, I don't know, because I was just going to say the next spot is to iron the back, and we know how that is with you and an iron.
Never mind.
But if you press it, you iron it, it flattens those little wrinkles, which aren't much on a cotton. But when you get to a linen, the object is to get them as flat as you can, because you're going to put 2 of them together.
And I'm assuming, even though I'm not a master ironer, that because there's cardboard in there,
you're safe.
You don't want to use the steam option.
No.
I hear that some fancy irons have a steam option.
Well, you'll want to press it, and I do have a pressing cloth, just a cotton flour sack dish towel I use just for that. just for a minute, we're going to talk about your stitched piece. Now, I've done this really fun stitch thing here, haven't I?
It's beautiful.
And
Tone on tone, it looks
tone
like.
on tone. I've cut it out, and I just want you to see how easily, since you're going in a circle on something, see, look at. So that's why you might want to go 5/8 of an inch. On a small piece like this, if you've got a larger piece, you could go an inch, because the object is not to have your gathering be right here, because that's so much to press.
Oh, yeah.
But this too, you can draw it down, and it takes a little bit of maneuvering to wiggle that through.
Yeah, there's more friction with
Yep.
linen.
So what you can do is lace it. Jane, you want to hold up the little lace model?
Absolutely.
Because I just unthreaded my needle, and that's going to be impossible to do. So you will just lace it. You will go from this side to this side, turn this side to this side, and you're just going to pinwheel work your way around lacing. Pulling as you go really pulls in the sides, especially
and it helps
of the
get rid
little.
of any puckers that you might have.
Because you do want, even though we're going to ruche it, you still want it to look smooth and taut.
Right.
So then at this point, when you have your two, I hate the 4-letter word glue,
Uh-oh.
but you're going to want to put a puddle in the middle and put them together and hold. Now,
Like an Aleene's tacky glue or a...
I use my hot glue gun. Use hot glue because it'll instantly set it, where
Okay.
a liquid glue, you would have to wait for it to set up.
Okay.
The only purpose of
I burn myself with curling irons on a regular basis, so
that's a curling iron.
another challenge for me.
So you would be inclined to want to glue all the way here, because you'd want a nice tight seam, but don't, because you've got seepage or oozing, two crude words, but that's what it'll do.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll be inclined to go like this, and now you've got burnage.
And
So,
glue on your
yeah.
beautiful
So
pieces.
just in the middle to hold it in place. And then,
And again, those double-sided finishing dots
they
might
might
be a good
work,
option there
they
too.
might be a very good option for those who can't.
I'll link the I'll put a link to the Fat Quilt Shop to that item
Okay.
in the description box.
I
just
think
in
I'll
case.
need to get some of those, because the only purpose is just to hold them straight. And then, now if you've got a 2-stitched item, you'll want to make sure that they're both the same direction. You're not going to want one up and one upside down or kittywampus, so
Right.
you'll want to take some care when you glue those together. So the gluing.
Great idea.
Okay, so now we have one glued together. Now, believe it or not, we're going to ruche. Yes. Now, I have
Celebratory.
celebratory M&Ms.
Cheers, everybody. We're going to start ruching. Chocolate is involved.
I'm going to make a quick quilter's knot.
Oh, the quilter's knot is like magic.
Yeah, it really is. Now, I'm just going to refer to this, and I got to watch my camera and stitch and talk.
It's a
Who
lot
do
of
I think
It's a
I
lot
am?
of multitasking.
I'm old. I will just take, and not shake, I will just take a little,
Shake and bake, baby.
there, a little stitch to get this started. Now, you'll want to take your ribbon. We'll talk ribbon in a minute. This is just a fabric store 1/4-inch spool of satin ribbon. Now, I do have YLI silk ribbon. Let me tell you a little bit about silk. This is 7mm. It's beautiful to work with. I don't know if we can show close enough that hole. See where the thread comes out?
Yes.
It spreads and frays.
It makes almost like a slit.
I know, so you have to be real gentle and then tack. It's beautiful, but for today, since I'm not in my best element with working closely without my arms being situated, I'm going to, and you know what? I've got my glue just a little too close to the edge here. How did that happen?
User error.
Yeah, this is a good reason to show why you don't want to do that, because it makes it hard to start.
A little bit.
Well, no, I didn't want my struggle to be real on camera. Okay, so I've got this anchored. Okay, ruching is so simple. It is not a running stitch right down the middle, because that will give you a gather. So you're going to want to take a pinch up, tip, take a pinch down. Oh, take one in the middle. Oh, I'm going to go up. I can go down. See what I've done?
Mm-hmm.
So then, when you pull this, you hold it firm here, and you pull it, and you tack the fabric. Tack to the fabric. And this is how you create your ruching. Okay, let me do this. Up, down, up. I'm going to go down and up again. I don't know, vary your stitch lengths, vary your up and down. Then you slide this up to here, and you hold it, and when you pull, and then you tack, and pull. See how it's doing that?
Yep, it's
I'm
magic.
sorry it's so shaky, but I'm used to being, maybe if I do it this way, we can see.
Sure.
How many people stitch with their elbows not supported? I don't know. I guess I can't free stitch. And then you pull that. You just slide it up, and then when you pull it, and then you tack it. And if you see, you're not seeing the white thread on the back. You're not even really seeing the white thread through the top.
Sure.
So you don't have to buy a matching thread to the ribbon if you don't have any, if you're not a seamstress and you
Right.
don't have an array of thread to use. You can just use a neutral white or a neutral dark if you're using dark ribbons. So, Jane, do you want to see anything one more time before
Sure,
we jump?
one more time.
One more time. Here's a lower one. See how it's not in the center?
Mm-hmm.
Am I okay on the camera?
Yep.
You tell me, because I can't stitch and look at the same time. I usually go about 6 stitches.
Okay.
And then slide it up and then pull. And then I have to put it down in order to get a good tack. Sometimes you can tack one side, sometimes you can tack the other side. Now, on one of the pieces, I think, Jane, the one, your 4th of July one, do we have that one out, or is that one?
I don't think we have it out, but I was just going to ask, because that one has a length that's ruched, and then there's a gap, and then there's another length that's ruched,
Yep.
and then there's a gap. Are you going to show us how to do that?
I'm going to try to look like I don't have 5 thumbs here. My goodness, what a day. Yes. Okay, so now we want to make us an alteration here. What you'll do is bring your needle to the underside, and of course get a slip knot. We're just going to give
Murphy's Law.
we're going to give you the full meal deal today. You would just whip stitch between. We'll go this way. And this way. You're right, anything that could go wrong is going to go wrong today.
Mm-hmm.
And this way.
But I think it's great for people to see that even if it's something that you've done a lot and you're really, really good at, that there are days where you just have to kind of adjust to what's going on.
You're being very kind. I told you this morning I'm having a shaky hand day because I was trying to paint my nails. Oh, good gracious. And she said, do you want to do this on a non-shaky hand day? And I'm like, when's that, after surgery? It's just something that some days, and I've worked on this all week to do this. And I said, nope, we're going to go. They know, I mean, if you've watched any of our episodes, you know I have these days with my hands.
And my husband does as well.
Yeah.
Some days he can't write his name, and then other days he's out in his art studio painting all this fine detail without a problem.
So what you'll do is, see how we've made a straight area?
Mm-hmm.
And then you just pick it back up again. And you do your ruching. And just to camouflage a little bit that transition, that's usually where I will stick a pretty
fancy
bead or pin or some kind of object. And now that I have a knot, and Jane said we're not editing these either because this is real life. So that's how you would do a straight area with a ruched area.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and you'd work your way all the way around, which, thank gosh, you don't have to torturously watch me do that because I've gone all the way around this model. See, all the way around. So it doesn't matter how, consistent you are, because that's the delight of ruching, is it's just creates a finish that I'm not going to apologize anymore for being obsessed with.
And every piece is going to be a little bit unique.
Yep, everything, each one is different. So now we're nearing the end.
Oh,
And I think this is going to be successful today.
You can do it.
Yeah, you can do it, as my son used to say when he was little. We're going to just ruche some more. To get to the end. Excuse me while I go off camera to stabilize. Jane will fulfill if I started with M&M's now.
Look, it's a combination of plain and peanut.
I won't even...
I sampled a few of each just to make sure they were okay.
Okay, so I won't perish afterwards.
No. Blood sugar levels will be fine.
I think, she said, do you want to do this another day? And I said, well, just let me have a drink of water and maybe that'll help. Okay, now I've ruched to the end, and it's like, now what do I do? Right?
Right.
I've got this tail. I've cut it off. You would cut it off your spool. But you want to make sure you've got enough to do a successful end where you've met. So I'm going to just take my scissor, excuse my reach, and I'm going to clip this just beyond, because I'm going to fold this over and just make one stitch.
So you're going to camouflage that last tail, and you're going to put one last
stitch, and I'm going to actually stabilize it with an anchor stitch right here. So when I pull this, ta-da, and then you can take this right here and just work it underneath if you want.
Roll.
Tuck it under.
Tuck and tack.
Tuck and tack. And sometimes you can get it in the ditch. Sometimes you can struggle horribly.
Okay, we can't see your beautiful
sometimes
nails.
You can struggle horribly. I apologize for having 9 thumbs, and
are they green thumbs?
Yes, but I feel very unprofessional. So what you do is you take a little stick in the fabric to make a knot, and then draw it down. Now to hide this knot, you simply can
Ooh.
stab up in here, and when you pull this, it all hides away. And then I'm going to put it down here. Hopefully you can see. I will pull this up and press against the fabric, and when you clip, then your tail is gone. You won't have a little stickum there. Kind of like magic.
It really is kind of like magic.
So that's how you ruche all the way around. It's really simple. I have a piece here that, I do have some notes. Oh, page 2 and 3 we didn't read. Okay, this is a piece, Prairie Schooler.
Number 16.
Oh, Lord help me. And I cut my foam core to follow the shape. And I have a backing. And I'm not much of a glitter person, but I had this ribbon. And I thought, why not? It's for spring. Now, this is a very wide ribbon. Can you see how wide that is?
Mm-hmm.
A rule of thumb is kind of have the ribbon be the width of your piece. Like, when they're glued together. Yeah. See how this, and then when you take the ribbon, it's kind of like the same width.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So when you're working with foam core, that's much heavier, thicker, and so you can go with it, because the object is to cover up your ditch seam where you're adhering the two things together. But I thought for spring, the little glitter in the ribbon really, really was cool.
And it just shows you ruching. It's not just for circles anymore.
You goof. So now, this is going to be a joke. Here's the comical part of the show, folks. Beading. I had trouble stitching. Now I'm going to actually introduce beads.
You're very brave, Julie.
Soldier on.
Profile and courage.
So, do you have that one piece, Jane, that we finished? Where did we put those?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, with the black beads? Where did that one go?
Oh, right here.
Oh, now this one that I did for Jane, I didn't put two of them together because I just glued a back onto it because I'm going to put a magnet. So being that this is only one thickness of a mounting form, I could use a smaller bead. The process is the same. This one, I just had some pearls in my leftover, and they covered up nicely. I call it the ditch.
Is this going to become another bad accumulation habit for me, ribbon and beads now?
Well, I've got enough for the both of us. Okay. So, FYI.
Ooh, right.
So you would do a quilter's knot. You would anchor it in the ditch. You would bring your thread and needle up, and you would slide 2 beads on. Oh, I got one. It's kind of like a game now. So I like to go 2 beads at a time. And this one is going to be, oh, this is just something
Bobbing
else.
for beads.
Bobbing for beads, Jane. I'm going to need a drink after this.
I got a cold Modelo in the fridge for you.
2 beads on. Hold them in place, ladies. They're slippery. You'll pull them down, draw them down, and then you'll want to tack. And I have to put it down to tack. I'm sorry. And you'll pull them. And like I said, I work 2 at a time. It just works better that way than putting a whole bunch on because you have a better... That's not bad.
That is not bad at all.
I'm surprised. Nice. So that's what you will do all the way around, and I will spare myself the humiliation of trying to put two more on a needle.
Humiliating.
But,
ta-da!
ta-da! On a better day, and this is just something that does take a little bit of practice because it's how you anchor it. You don't want to anchor it ahead of the bead because then the spacing will be more. You kind of want to anchor it right under the edge of that second bead, and you're going to work your way around, and you're going to say, this looks like crap because they're going every which way, but with the magic of dental floss. And she thought I was kidding.
Really
Dollar store dental floss, and it's mint. It may have lost some of its freshness by the time I gave it to you, but
more minty, less fresh.
Take a length of dental floss in a needle, and now I have to steady my hand. You're going, or I really, Jane, should make you do this.
Oh, God.
You kind of have to go through one at a time, one bead at a time. And you're going to work all the way around, running the dental floss in. Oh, I'm sorry.
We keep losing you.
I'm sorry. And see, I can't look at the same time. Can we do this video over?
No.
Okay. All right, so I've gone all the way around. You crisscross them, and you pull. And what it does is it pulls it all into shape. Now, this was done quite hurriedly because these are samples. They're not the real thing. So I just do the right over left and pull, and then the left over right and pull. And then I rethread each tail with the needle, and I do this one this way under a few, and this one I put under this a few and clip them, and then you don't have your tails.
Look at that. It's like a Visalign for beading.
Yes, it is. So... But there's a number of things you can do, you know. I mean, this is just a quick video. If we had a class, this would be like 4 hours, and we'd have
to have more than M&Ms.
Well, we'd have a dessert of some sort. But do you have any questions, Jane? I see you did not stitch along, but the M&Ms are delicious.
The M&Ms are delicious. The favorite ones, my favorite flavor is the blue.
Blue isn't a flavor. So... I just want to apologize for my hands.
It's all good.
It didn't.
I learned a ton.
It didn't interrupt my knowledge.
No.
So I hope that you enjoyed our first delightful detail video. And, you know, each phase of floss tube is an experience and a learning adventure. And just to note, we did not need any technical support today because...
Yeah, baby.
I had a script written out every word Catherine told me on how to start this without her.
And we did it.
Yes, and I hope you join us for our next episode of Running with Scissors, Stitching with Jane and Julie. That will be episode 5.
And they said it wouldn't last.
Well, we're not over yet. If you like and subscribe, you will know when our next delightful detail will post, as you'll get a notification. So thank you so much, and see you soon.
See you soon, and happy stitching, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.